Yeah, hi. I'm back. So, do you think I should do a small recap of like whatever I said earlier? I think it shouldn't be necessary, right? But like whatever. I think just go on as we are, and whatever happens, happens, right? So, with that in mind, let me mute myself and then.
They have body painting where you actually paint your tits. You can look at this shit. If you can paint your tits, you can definitely look at this shit. So this person is just completely out of touch. They said the downfall of us being in danger because a big 14 streamer decides to show modded 14 screenshots to his 1K viewers right now, and lots of it. We really have another Asmongold interviews modder plus G poser moment. Okay, again, I have no idea what this means. But okay, so this person, so try to wrap your mind around this. This person is afraid that because I'm showing this and this, all right, here's like another one too. This person is upset that because I'm showing this, that this is going to be the downfall of 14. The fucking downfall of 14? Are you kidding me? Like, how stupid can you be? Are you for real? This person is posting modded pictures of what I assume is their character. They are posting their pictures on a public social media website, and they are getting mad that people are looking at them. What? And to top all this off, on the social media website that you posted on, you can't even block people. You can't even block people. They can still look at your post. So you're the one exposing you. You posted this. What do you mean I'm doing it? You're the one that started it. There is not a single brain cell that is functional in this person's brain. Now, obviously, I'm not going to click on this person's account for two reasons. One, because obviously don't harass this person or anything. But two, this motherfucker has more tits, ass, and dicks on their profile than X videos, okay? I actually clicked on this off stream. God damn, I was blasted with more tits and ass and fucking dicks. I was punched in the, like dicks were coming out of my monitor, punching me in the face because there were so many of them, okay? This motherfucker is gonna complain about me showing stuff.
I mean, at least from a ballistics perspective, considering that, Vex's head is very. I'm not gonna make the joke. But yeah, anyway, the thing is, and also that's not like that, that's the joke, don't worry about it. I'm not really gonna criticize anything, I was just gonna make a joke. Deflection and all that. But the thing is, yeah, he's absolutely right. Is what I was saying as well. Holy shit. These people are very, very bold to be posting these pictures on Twitter. Not because of the dicks and cocks and whatever, but like, this is your character. If somebody, identified you in game and then reported you, you'd be fucked. And even though it would have been a dick move, in a sense, at the same time, you knew what you were doing when you started modding, didn't you? So technically they would be the ones in the right. Chances are their cat girls are generic enough to blend in. I mean, yeah, I'm not gonna lie. There is a point of diminishing returns with modding, where even though everyone looks different, your brain goes like, oh, it's just another modded cat girl, like, let me just move on. Even though your modded cat girl is going to be completely different from another person's modded cat girl or any other kind of girl, it just becomes one of the blob, one of the masses, yeah, so there is a diminishing return in looking unique and all that. So I do agree that they would be looking like generic modded cat girls. So yeah. Anyways, moving on.
When their entire life online is that shit. And you're gonna complain about me? And then they say, a move truly only Zeno could bring. Yo, I don't know about you. I don't know about you guys. But that stream was popping, and we had a lot of fun. So you're fucking welcome. This was like instant portraits on crack, okay? What the fuck is wrong with streamers? All they had to do was keep quiet about the funny mods, but now we're cooked. Oh, shut the fuck up. You're not cooked. Nothing bad is gonna happen. Dudes, okay, these people actually think that they can link this character to their 14 account. Bro, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but you are not special. Your character is not special. If I wanted to, I could copy this character 100% and say that I came up with it. Your character is not special, bro. There is nothing unique about it, okay? What's funny about that is that Square Enix cannot connect this picture to a 14 account unless you do it. But ironically, because this person cried and whined and bitched, now they have confirmed that one of, if not multiple, of these pictures are from their 14 account. That's like a while back, we had this guy and he linked his Twitter on his 14 like character, and he had a bunch of like modded pictures with like futas and shit. I'm not making this up. And they banned him in game. And the reason they banned him is because he linked his Twitter to his character. Then they clicked on it and they saw his character. And then this fucking idiot, this dumbass, got mad that 14 banned him. You literally banned yourself. You said, hey, Yoshi P, hey, bro, where you at? Hey, yeah,
That's funny as fuck. That's funny as fuck. This picture is funny as fuck. I'm sorry. This is nice for something he just cooked in on the spot. All right, good shit, Zeno. Sitting there with a high council. Nice one. Okay, but yeah, you know, you can even say, to a degree, you can even say, like, you know, if I say now, oh, I mod in Final Fantasy, you know, if I say that now, until you can prove it beyond any shadow of any doubt that this is the character and this is me and that's what I said, and not only did I say it, but also it's happening, I won't get banned. But like, if you connect all the dots, then yeah, somebody could get banned, you know? So yeah, even if I say right now that I do mod Final Fantasy, you can't do anything, to be honest, because, you know, it cannot be proven. And you know, if you want to go technical on it, as long as I haven't shown it, you cannot confirm that I'm not making fun of you, for example, or just making up the story. So it's not bannable. It's not like the case is not clear. But what these guys are doing is literally connecting. Is what Vex says. They're literally just outing themselves, which is dumb. And personally, I would never show any modded content or stream any modded content for Final Fantasy, or you know, share it on any social media or whatever. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's stupid. I think these people are fucking terminal. That's it. So yeah. Anyway, that's what Zeno is saying as well. So let's allow Zeno to continue.
That's my 14 modded character. Yeah, that's me. What do you think? Oh, you're gonna ban me? Oh, well, that's not fair. That's not fair. No, that's not fair. No, wrong. Get the fuck out of here, man. Like, are you kidding me? Like, how stupid can you fucking be? I give up. He is literally showing the nipples almost. How is he getting away with this? How is he getting away with this?
How is this guy getting away with this? How does he think he's gonna get away with this? He's the one posting. Oh my god. I think this is like, I think we saw everything we needed to see. I'll just let it play. But yeah, this is such a stupid case, honestly. Yeah, these modders, like the modding community, needs to fucking chill. Holy shit. Okay.
Because it's within the TOS, bro. Because it's within the TOS. That's how I'm getting away with it. And I got some bad news for this motherfucker. Because I'll tell you what, man, I liked doing that stream so much, actually, that we're going to do another one. So, G-posers beware. You may be in for a little scare. Because your picture may show up on this stream. Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad to do the stream. Another one's going to be coming. I'm not sure exactly when. You know, probably after Ultimate is a celebratory stream. We'll probably look at a bunch of fucking tits and ass. I don't know. Why is he even looking at 14 lewds on stream in the first place? Good question. No bloody idea. Keep in mind, this is coming from the person that spams post tits, dicks, and pussy on there. I could ask you the same question. Why are you spamming all this shit on a public website? Because you're a fucking degenerate. Just own that shit. I love titties. I love pussy. Yes, I do. Okay, I goon to that shit. I coom to that shit. Yes, I do. Okay, apparently you fucking do too. I don't know why this person is like trying to be all secretive and embarrassed of who they are. Be proud of who you are. You know what I'm saying? The ban will come later. Like what ban? Like this is probably, now I'm not going to click on this person's profile because I don't know what I'm getting into. It could be like the same as it. But what ban? I haven't done anything wrong. Should report it. Yeah.
This is a take that I've had before. I'm not gonna say it just to say, oh, I said it first. It's just that like it's common logic, it's common sense, right? What this person is saying in the chat there, you know, it's not gooning, mom, it's art. You don't understand. Yeah, this thing, you gotta fucking wake up, honestly. Yeah, you can say it's your artistic expression or whatever, dude. Seriously, it's just like 50 dads and 2 guys just gooning to each other in every club, okay? And I'm saying this in the sweetest way possible because I've been part of that crowd, though, you know, I am a trans girl anyways, so I guess 50 dads and 2 guys and 1 trans girl. And, you know, it's like, yeah, it is what it is. You know, I've dated, I've parasocially dated, I've fucking done all the things that, you know, everything that you can imagine, all right? And I have before said, like, yeah, I kind of enjoy that, whatever. I kind of enjoy the whole femboy culture. I do enjoy the whole dating culture. Sure, but you have to be kind of conscious about it. Like, you can't be like, oh, yeah, this is just my art. This is... I don't do that dirty thing. I just, you know, it's like, yeah, it's fucking, it's artistic. No, you're just like, you're literally just jerking off to each other. You're just gooning to each other, whether male, female, or anything else. You're just all gooning to each other. And I'll put myself in there too, because whatever, you know. But let's not pretend it's fucking rocket science. Or, you know, some high form of art that people who don't do it don't comprehend it or anything. Whatever. Degenerate is a very heavy word. Sometimes I use it just because it's funny to say, honestly. And if you want to roast someone, yeah, it can be used. But degeneracy, I don't know, dude. It is. Let's say this. All this thing is as degenerate as, let's say, watching any other kind of porn or whatever, or as sexting, you know, your girlfriend or whatever. It's not like it's the end of the world. It's not like it needs to be sanitized. There are some extreme cases, and of course there's like lots of bad apples as well, because that's, you know, that's people, I guess, in MMOs. But that's the whole point, that like the same way that Zeno is saying, oh, guess what, you know, everybody does, it's fine. Yeah, well, you know, from the same perspective, it's not really degeneracy in my opinion. It's like, essentially what it boils down to is sometimes it's going to have some feelings behind it. You're gonna date or whatever, you're gonna have a romance there, a fling. Most of the times it's just gonna be gooning, basically. That's it. There's nothing like super crazy going on. So yeah, calling them out too hard is as pretentious as them saying, "Oh, you know, it's not that. You don't understand." You know, both are pretentious, in my opinion. Like you just said yourself, you goon to shit that you like. So what, are you a degenerate for doing that? I doubt it. I don't think that's true. Uh, that's not to say that there aren't degenerates there with the true meaning of the word, because I've seen some shit which I would have liked to not see or not know. But you know, user discretion and all that. If you're going looking for it, you will find it, you know, or it might find you sometimes. So, yeah, just you know, politely sidestep it and move on with your parasocial dating. It's nothing too crazy about it. In a time where we are all more or less like terminally online, some things were bound to become more common, and they have, and that's okay. It's just how the cookie crumbled, right? Calling each other out for it is kind of stupid. Again, as stupid as saying, you know, it's art, you don't understand. Like, nah, it's not. It's just you're just fucking fapping to stuff, and you're just helping others fap to your stuff, and yeah, that's pretty much it, honestly. Um, anyway, let's move on and see what else is there to look at.
Report me for what? Looking at characters that you modded? I'm not the one cheating. I'm not the one using mods. I'm I'm looking at them. That doesn't make any sense. Like, what did I do wrong? You know what I'm saying? See, there we go. Ha ha, that's funny. Man likes what he's looking at. Yeah. See, I'm gonna like this. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. See, yeah, there we go. I mean, you know, they probably were on the stream. Yeah. Report him showing R modded characters. So I don't know why this person got so ass hurt, but since they decided to, you know, involve me and take a picture of my stream, we're going to talk about it. But this doesn't make any sense. Your entire feed is literally nothing but porn, and you're going to get mad at me because I'm looking at a modded character. The downfall is not coming. Like, dude, one, it's a complete self-report. You're the one that's posting the shit. You're the one that connected your character to the Twitch or to the Twitter account. Like, what the fuck? That's you, not me. That doesn't make any sense. No one would have fucking known that this was your character. I didn't know this was your character. I don't even know who the fuck this person is. And the same thing, no one would have even known because, like I said earlier, your character is not special. Your character is not unique. If I wanted to, I could make my character look exactly the same, but I don't because I don't use mods because I'm not a fucking dirty cheater. But anyway, the reason why I wanted to talk about this is because they felt the need to, I guess, clip my stream or whatever. And it's like, bro, you know how many people love that stream? There's like one ass hurt motherfucker.
The way that they're making fun of Vex in a friendly manner, saying that the streamer is looping. Oh shit! You could probably hear that, couldn't you? Anyway, the street sounds. Anyway, I feel that I loop sometimes as well. It's pretty crazy. You can't avoid it. It's funny. I found it funny. Thought I should comment on it. Yeah, I'm aware that I'm doing it as well sometimes. It's fucking inevitable. Like you can't. You just can't not do it. Also, in some situations, and I'm not saying that like this is the case here, obviously, it might be, 50-50. When it's something of this caliber where it is small and like it's only worth of like a 5-minute video, honestly, how are you gonna reach 15 minutes? You're just gonna have to repeat yourself a little bit, right? I mean, whatever. There are no scripts, so you might just get sidetracked and say the same shit again, and whatever. It's kind of funny. But yeah, it's the whole thing just is so bizarre to me. How this has become such a huge issue for either of the sides of the argument. I don't know. Let's finish this.
Oh God, he's going to expose us all. He's going to expose us. It's the downfall. It's the downfall of the modding community. Okay, look, I'm going to tell you this right now, okay? I absolutely love the modding community. I mean, I hate them and they should all go away and stop ruining my game. I have mad respect for the modding community. I mean, they're terrible people. They make the game way better. I mean, they make the game worse, and we should stick to the scriptures. Just the fact that there are so many mods that just make the game better, I mean worse, in every single way is just really, really fucking cool. Those people, they spend a lot of time, they put a lot of effort into that, and I really respect that. I mean, that's blasphemous. That's going against the scriptures. That's going against the Bible. Like, we've looked at a lot of mods before on stream to spread awareness to not use them. And I enjoy doing that, okay? And I'm pretty sure that the people that make those also enjoyed that because we all think it's cool. I mean, we all hate it. None of us do it, okay? Like, look, I'm a big family person. You know, I have a lot of extended, you know, members of the family, like my family tree. You know, we have, you know, cousin Cammy, and she's great. And Robbie, you know, it's like the twice removed married brother of Abby, you know, that type of shit. Drummer, media doers, drummer, hyperdisc. We had a similar instance when I was on housing. When I designed my house, I used this simulator called Make Place. And Make Place is great. It's fantastic. It doesn't interact with the game on its own. It's kind of like the 14 sim. Make Place is a standalone tool to preview, edit, share housing layouts. This is great. Yeah, so you can like add furniture, man. This is really cool. You know?
The moment your game needs this to make a house look good, you have failed with house design. Not the person designing, but the people who are in charge of making the interface and all that shit. They have completely failed. And the fact that they are so fucking adamant on not incorporating these features is like just fucking beyond me. You can shit all over Guild Wars, you know, housing. There are many negatives to it. I still think it's a step in the right direction though, and the basis of it is pretty solid. Like what it allows you to do with what's there is like exactly these mods that Zeno is like now showing us. So, you know, I guess they learned from Final Fantasy's mistakes or lackings, or lack of, you know what I mean. And they made a robust system to customize your place. So yeah, I think that's what Final Fantasy should have done. They should have been like, okay, yeah, we're gonna fucking redesign that. But no, instead they're like, no, that's bannable, don't use it or whatever. To the point where this guy had to make the whole program just separate so that he doesn't get, you know, flack. Anyway, and this is like everywhere with Final Fantasy. A lot of its systems are outdated as fuck. They're archaic. They're very clunky to use, very slow. Lots of hoops to jump through to get to where you want to do what you want. Yeah. Anyway, moving on.
So basically, you can make your house in the simulator and then make it in the game. Now, this doesn't interact with the game on its own. I mean, now, granted, I haven't used this in a really long time, so maybe they made changes to it. They probably made changes to it, but when I used it, it was very fun. But anyway, so there was this idiot that got mad because I was showing Make Place on stream. Like, dude, they were like, oh my God, all the housing mains are going to be banned and all this, and shut up. No one is going to cause the downfall of this shit, okay? The downfall of 14. Bro, holy fuck, man. It ain't that deep.
So, the Darkest Druid. I will never respect this game's TOS until they have stuff in the game that should already be in it, and not through the use of mods. Yeah. Pretty much what I was saying. Like, fuck that shit. Which also goes for character customization and other stuff. to a certain degree, because obviously they shouldn't allow some true fucking perverts to do things to their lalafels that you shouldn't be doing, or other stuff like running around in fucking diapers and gigantic thighs, and forcing that on everyone. Obviously there are limits, or creating houses that may somehow have some kind of like debatable or questionable functions in them. So yeah, but generally speaking, I do agree with the Darkest Druid there. Like if your interface sucks, dude, and I'm paying a sub for it, do your job then. Even if I'm not paying a sub, just do your fucking job, right? Anyway,
14, bro. Holy fuck, man. It ain't that deep. And look, I'm going to be honest with you guys, man. I'm going to be real. Okay. I don't respect Square Enix's stance on mods in the first place. I don't. I'm going to say that. I don't respect their stance on mods in the first place. And you know why I don't? They will take a mod that people have used. They will ban the person that used it or the creator, and then they will put them in the game. If anyone respects them for that, you're an idiot, in my opinion. Now, respect and abiding are two different things. Do I abide by those rules? Absolutely. I'm not a cheater. But do I respect that decision? Absolutely not. I don't have to respect something to follow it. No, I understand that too. The mod stance is Japanese law. No, I understand that. There's a lot more to it than just, yeah, I understand that. But that doesn't mean that I have to respect it. That doesn't mean I have to respect that law. But anyway, no, for whatever reason, this person is like whining and crying and saying that this is going to be the downfall of okay, you know what, man? Okay, you know how many people message me pictures of their character to show on stream? I thought it was so cool. I thought it was awesome that people wanted to show the stream their character. I thought that was awesome. Like, I had to tell people, don't message me because I'm not prepared for this. When we did that stream, it was almost like a spur of the moment kind of thing. It was like I had a bunch of tabs. I had like 40 tabs of like this type of shit. You know what I mean? But I can tell you this, if you have the same mindset as this person here, I got some bad news for you. Because that was a good stream, and we're going to have another one. So you better private your accounts, hide the pictures, hide them, delete them, mass delete, because your character might make an appearance. just maybe, a little bit, a little chance. Okay, look, honestly, if people have an issue with the things that I do, send me a message, man. I will talk to you. Let's say there's a modder and they make a mod. They don't want it to be known for whatever reason. Let's say I do a video on it or something, or let's say I look at it on stream. Just message me, talk to me, ask me about it. I don't have to use shit that people don't want me to use. There's been certain portions of videos before where people have like asked me to not include them. You know,
I don't think I will watch more. I got the point. You got the point. Yeah, I don't see any real drama. I was expecting something very, very spicy or whatever. Some, mental breakdown or something like that. But no, not really. This is just something that should have been discussed for 2 minutes and done. But now it's 15 minutes video on YouTube. So yeah, fuck it. Let's move on to something that is far more interesting to me as well. But yeah, I don't know. People have to realize that like there's always gonna be trends. There's always gonna be stuff like that. Everyone's a femboy now. It's not. I'm not saying it's negative. I'm just saying just an example for everyone's using mods. The thing is like, can you do it with enough class? Are you a class act? But in a good sense, because usually it's a negative thing to say, oh, you're a class act, ironically. But unironically, it's just can you be classy about it? That's what matters. That's where 90% of the people fail, and like there's a few of them that like they're super cool and they're like genuine people, and it's fun to be around and whatever. And it's the same with mods. Like, yeah, Don't be stupid. That's all. I don't know where I was going with it exactly, but that's where it went. Honestly, I can't really say much more about it. It's something I've discussed before, with the whole culture of particularly Final Fantasies, femboy slash trans, slash deep into mods slash gooning people. It's, yeah, I don't know. I've met a lot of them, and there weren't many that were glass acts. So, yeah. Anyway, here's something that maybe will be interesting. Who knows? Let's see. So, VeilGuard's trans representation critiqued by a trans guy, by which I assume well, I don't need to assume, but just to have the perspective down right. I think this is going to be from the perspective of someone who identifies as male, I think, since they're saying a trans guy, but they were not born biologically male. So that's the perspective we're coming from. I think I will be, not I think, but I will be commenting on that take as a trans girl. So this should be interesting to me. Like this to me alone is interesting. I personally don't know a single trans guy in my life. I barely know any trans girls. I know what I know is I know Joanne, which I should actually use the proper name. But anyway, and that's, it's an exploratory thing for them. So I'm trying to say that I really don't think I know any trans guys, in the sense of having gone through HRT, having gone through this, having gone through that, and actually being a trans person. Not just in the sense of I sometimes think it's cozy to be she, her, but also sometimes it's fine, they, them, but also, he, him, if it's convenient. That sort of thing makes me, just tilts me, so that's why I'm saying I don't really know any other actually trans people. So it's interesting to me whenever I get a chance to hear someone else's perspective. I know my perspective, but I want to see what's going on here, and especially in relation to VeilGuard, which has been a bit controversial about this subject. So not because of its inclusion, but because of how it was included, I suppose. Anyway, enough. Let's let it roll, and it's 45 minutes as well. So I'll try to be I'll try to to not let it breathe for too long, but we'll see. Depends how interesting it is.
Hello, I'm Nate, aka B2 Mutineer. I usually make videos about games I enjoy, in particular RPGs. If you've been around a while, you'll know that Dragon Age Origins is my all-time favorite game, and I love the Dragon Age series for its storytelling, fascinating fantasy world building, and diverse, morally complex characters. You may also know that I'm trans, queer, and neurodivergent, since I've mentioned it in my initial video about VeilGuard. I think that most reasonable people are probably tired of hearing about the way minority communities are represented in VeilGuard by now. I feel like I've aged at least 5 years hearing all the discourse, but unfortunately, as a trans person, I can't ignore what is being said. This game has emboldened the culture war that was already going on, and everyone, no matter their side, is for some reason ignoring some extremely obvious details about the poor quality of VeilGuard's trans representation. So here is my analysis and critique of the so-called woke representation of trans people in Dragon Age to VeilGuard. I am aware of the fact that making this video
can we let the term woke fucking die in a fire? Can we just like move away from like the word woke? Like, come on, dude. Anyway, I know that he's not doing it on purpose, but like, you know, and he's like playing around it, but just let it die. It's such a disgusting word. Anyway, yeah, let me just.
Video is likely going to get me hate from both sides, but I don't care. If I can get even just a handful of people to understand that representing minorities in media is far more complex than just including them there to check a box, this video will have been worth it. I would also like to mention that I am not American or Canadian, despite what my accent may sound like. I live in Romania, a country considered part of Eastern Europe or the Balkans, and things aren't great here either in terms of trans, queer, and neurodivergent rights and access to services. You need to understand, culture doesn't revolve around American politics, so even if I'm speaking in English to you with a fairly American-style accent, that doesn't mean I am involved in whatever's happening in the United States. And my voice can carry just as much weight as other people's voices in discussions about the representation of aspects of my identity in media. Without further ado, let's get into it. Game spoilers will obviously be discussed. My critique begins at the very beginning of the game, where in the character creator you have the option to choose whether your character has top surgery scars or not. First of all, why would transgender characters in Thedas be able to have top surgery when the technology and medicine in this world are not nearly advanced enough for such medical procedures? Or if such surgeries did exist, the scars would certainly not look so clean. Secondly, why would a real-life trans person want for their character to have surgery scars in a fantasy world where magic exists, and something like flesh-shaping blood magic is a possibility? Thirdly, why would a real-life trans-masculine person want to have top surgery scars at all? I'm a trans guy, and I personally haven't had top surgery because my chest is appropriate enough in my opinion that I don't feel the need for it. But if I had chosen to have top surgery, it would only be because my appearance didn't match how I felt inside, and it made me feel dysphoric. I would likely still feel some dysphoria whenever I saw the surgery scars because they would remind me of the fact that I was not born in the type of body I felt like and I had to change it in order to get to a point where it felt appropriate. So no, if I lived in a fantasy world like Thedas, I would not want to undergo surgery that would leave me with extremely obvious scars that would imply to others what my body used to look like before.
Alright, so I see the point there. Because it's such a specific thing. Like let's go to fucking Baldur's Gate and Cyberpunk. They allow you to have a feminine body type, a female body type, but also a cock, right? In fact, various types of cocks, and I think that's enough. Because imagine if they, imagine if they had a third option there, which would be, I mean, technically they do because you can just have your underwear, but that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is, imagine if they allowed you to have SRS, you know, sex reassignment, whatever surgery, scars in that area. Like, I understand some people embrace that about their body. I think, okay, that if for some reason I wanted to say goodbye to my beautiful little boobs, I think I would take the scars and not mind it, I think. But would I want that on my character necessarily? I always say that options are alright. More options are better than less options. But it's too, I don't know how I feel about the inclusion of like those cars there. I'm a bit neutral towards it, I'm not gonna lie. It didn't bother me, but again, this is the viewpoint of a trans guy, and it's interesting to hear. Yeah, I'm not sure if VeilGuard offers the option of having a more masculine body type, but with a larger chest size. Maybe yes, right? who knows? Just random thoughts. But the scars, they're strange in this game for the reasons that I'm trying to remember the name, but I can't. That Mutineer is saying, right? Some people could probably be, I don't know, sensitive to it. I'm not sure. I'm gonna be honest, I can't fault them for having the top surgery scars. You can just like not select them. The same way that you will tell someone you don't have to select a they them pronoun, you can be he him. It's fine, you know. But in the same light, I would soft argue that yeah, you don't have to select your to have like surgery scars. It's fine that they're there. Question mark, I guess, you know. So I don't know. It's very hard for me to tell because it's not an option that concerns me. So I don't really know how to criticize it. I'll take Mutineer's word on it that that it's not positive, though to me it's neutral. As for why they would have scars, there I disagree. Even though there is magic in this world, and even though there is like, you know, flesh shaping and all that shit, who knows who knows what the circumstances of your character, of anyone's character might be. Maybe due to their circumstances in your head, they couldn't have that kind of treatment, and they just had to go the rough way about it, I guess. And when he says that like they're too clean, I mean, what do you want to do you want them to like present it as some kind of fucking you know, horrible wound that like is appalling to look at? Wouldn't that like cause further damage to the image of people who choose to have top surgery? Wouldn't that like, let's say that I like vanilla ice cream. Okay, I have a better example. You know, some people smoke, right? And now on packs of tobacco, sorry, or smokes, you can see like pictures of the lungs of like people who smoke, right? And it is there for the purpose of like dissuading you from continuing, right? So by the same logic, if they presented these scars as like horrible things to look at, they would then be blamed perhaps for trying to dissuade people from having top surgery. It's better that they would show a clean wound, a clean case, you know. So I don't take issue. I don't know. It's a little bit I don't just don't use it, man. I don't know. Just honestly don't use it. Simple as that. So I find this first argument kind of meh, honestly. Let's go on.
Still, let's say that somehow in northern Thedas like Antiva, Tevinter, Nebara, or Ravane, medicine is advanced enough for top surgery to exist. And let's say that your character is maybe...
Oh, if you want evidence that like they probably do have the means to do that, I mean, two of the main characters have basically implants. It's the maid's girl who has like an artificial leg. How do you think that works? You know, how do you think that got there? How do you think that this wound looks? Horrible? I doubt it. I think it looks clean, and you know, the implant just fits cleanly in there. So they obviously do have ways to do that. So I don't know. You can go any way you want about excusing it or justifying it. One other thing that Mutineer said is like, you can't just have trans characters just to check boxes. Yes, but also no. Being trans doesn't require any special explanation. We're just people who exist. We don't need to excuse our existence. Like if you see me, if let's say that you move like to my block, right, to my city block, and you see me, and you notice that I'm trans, are you gonna walk up to me and say, "Excuse me, how dare you be here without any reason for existing? What is your reason for existing?" Like, I'm probably gonna punch you in the face. I don't need a reason to exist. I'm just here like you, being a piece of shit on a map. That's it. I don't need to excuse myself. I don't need a special reason or anything. Even if your life is a story and I'm part of it, I'm just there. I'm sorry for not having like some kind of grand purpose or anything. I'm just living my life here. So the same is true for some characters in movies and games. They can be, this or that, whatever, trans or anything else, without any particular reason. There has to be some common ground there where you don't have to excuse yourself for existing, but also you're not completely pointless if you're a character in a book. But you know what I mean, like any character in any story, regardless of their orientation or gender, they don't really need an excuse. They are just written in there. So what, Now if you start flaunting it, and then there is no reason for flaunting it, that's another matter. But just having trans characters in your game who are just like background noise, sure, why the fuck not? They could have been like a straight person. Would you require them to excuse their existence? I don't think so. So it's the same. It's literally the same. But that's more of a side note. Anyway, let's move on.
Scared of magic and prefers to transition through medical means instead. Even in this case, I don't understand why the top surgery scars are a completely separate option in the character creator instead of just being included in the scars section. You could have absolutely made it possible for people to choose multiple scars to have active on their character and have both the cool battle scars or whatever you headcanon happened as part of your character's backstory, as well as top surgery scars if that's what you want your character to look like. It would be far more inclusive. Making the top surgery scars separate seems like it was done specifically to bring a lot of attention onto them. And I really have to say, that's the worst way to go about things if your ultimate goal is to have more people feel like they are represented in media, as well as to bring awareness to trans identities so that people are more understanding and accepting of them. By putting this option front and center, you are just giving more ammunition to the types of people who say that queer and trans people shouldn't be involved in the creation of media because they'll make it all about them and force it down everyone's throats. I'm sorry to say that if you do just that, you are not going to get a positive response from most people, even from trans people like me who do like to see themselves represented in more media, who do like to have the option for their character to be trans in a video game. But not like this. Not in a way that gets more negative attention pointed at us and gets people to be less likely to understand and accept us. Let's move on to the choices you have when you interact with Varric's shaving mirror that he gifted to Rook. Here are all the choices you get to pick about your gender identity if you decide that you want your character to be a trans man. Keep in mind that these are paraphrasing what your character will say. I'm getting there, I love who I am, feels good to see the real me. Here's the thing, these options as they are presented would have been perfectly fine if what Rook said was genuinely just a slight development on these short sentences. However, if you pick any of these things, your character ends up saying something extremely cringy and often completely different from what you expected them to say. If you choose I love who I am, Rook says, there he is, the man I knew I was. I did the work, I stuck with it, and now I get to see him every time I look at the mirror. Ugh. Who in their right mind would say something like that to themselves, no less? It's the most cringy thing I've ever heard in my life, and it genuinely pained me to have to read these words out loud. What do you mean, I did the work, I stuck with it? What work? You don't work on transitioning, or at least it shouldn't feel like work. You just need hormone treatment and possibly some other assistance such as surgery or perhaps voice therapy in order to transition to a point where you feel comfortable. The transition process is different for every trans person, as each person has a different goal for how they want to look and sound and act like, so that they can feel comfortable in their own skin and so that they can be perceived in the way that they want to be perceived in society. But if there's one thing that's certain, transitioning shouldn't feel like work. It is an extremely liberating and joyful thing as you begin to feel more like your exterior matches your interior. You don't stick with it.
Okay, so there is a chance. I'm gonna play the devil's advocate here. I agree with everything Mutineer is saying, but there is an aspect of coming out, and especially when you just undergo certain changes, the aspect of other people. So, societal pressure can be so severe that it might make you reconsider. And I've seen that happen, unfortunately, where a person was like, I don't want to deal with this. I don't want to deal with how I'm being treated and out there and all that stuff. I will just quit it. And they did. And it's one of the saddest things I've ever seen a person do. Just abandoning this like personal journey of honest self-expression. So perhaps here, you know, Rook is saying, Rook being the generic name that the game gives your character anyway, regardless of what name you give them. Everyone talks to them, uses Rook as the name. It's their nickname, I guess. So maybe Rook is referring to sticking with it as in I endured these pressures because we don't know. You know, we just can't tell what Rook has been through pre-character creation, right? It's interesting that they have only this answer so far. I don't know about the other answers. We're gonna find out soon, I think. But this answer, to me, comes from a person who endured this pressure but didn't give up. It's something that I would unironically, even though Mutineer says that this wouldn't be, that's cringy or whatever, then I'm sorry to disappoint, but I am very cringy because I have, you know, quite a few times I've sat there and I've said, damn, that was a fucking journey, but I went through it, and now I'm on the other side and everything is fine. I fucking did it. So I don't find it cringy, or maybe it is, but I personally don't find it cringy. Just to play the devil's advocate a little bit here, and I do know that people, I do know people who were like didn't make it through that journey because of societal pressure. No, VeilGuard gets a pass here on this one particular answer, and let's see the rest.
You simply do it because that's the only thing that feels right to do. I'm sorry to say that if you feel like transitioning is work, or that you have to stick with it, maybe you aren't as certain of your identity as you'd like to think you are. Maybe you need some therapy first to get over the trauma you very clearly have. The weirdest thing is that once again, the short version of this option, I love who I am, is a perfectly normal thing to say and feel. It's very nice to be able to love who you are after you had to struggle with the way you felt in your own body, and with how other people perceived and treated you. But
as you can see, Mutineer himself now confirms that, like, despite what others may have done to make it harder for you, you stuck with it. But that's what this answer represents, isn't it? So I think that basically Mutineer here disproves their own take on the matter by saying that yes, acknowledging that yes, there are cases where it shouldn't be work, obviously, but at the same time, sometimes you're gonna have to work. You're gonna have to endure a few things. It's gonna be rough. You are going to doubt yourself because, again, just blissfully unawarely going on about it and being like, I'm just gonna continue thinking, this and that, or feeling this and that, without questioning yourself even a bit. That's also not healthy. I mean, there are times where your own self will undermine you as well, or through excessive doubt. There are times when there will be healthy doubt, like, is this the true path for me? Is this the real choice? Like, is there no other choice? Do I really want this? And this is healthy doubt. And if it is what you really want, then more power to you, to me as well, obviously, since I went through it. But yeah, healthy doubt and healthy self-questioning does lead to more solidified choices as well. It leads to them as much as being headstrong throughout adversity. You know, these are parts of the journey, and so somebody who has faced more adversity or excessive self-doubt when they shouldn't be, once you reach the other side of this journey, you might catch yourself saying what Rook said. And I think Mutineer literally just stumbled there, you know, in a sweet way. But I feel like this point is just, it literally just got nullified right now. I don't know how bad the other answers are, and I'm very curious to see them. So, you know, let's go on.
The long version of this option? Horrible. And before I move on to the other options, let me also just mention another thing that people part of VeilGuard's development clearly have no idea about. Just because you're trans, it does not mean that you have to go through a transition process. You don't have to undergo hormone therapy. You don't have to get any surgeries done. You don't have to act more masculine or act more feminine or look androgynous to be a real trans or non-binary person. You can be yourself.
I will once again agree with everything that Mutineer is saying, but none of that is in that answer when you pick that dialogue. So yeah, I don't know where that came from. It's common sense. Obviously, you don't have to go through HRT. You don't have to do this. You don't have to do that. Your feelings are valid. You know, there are some limits though. You know, it's within reason, because you can't really say you're something but not support it somehow. That's, I don't know how you feel about it, but me personally, when someone, I'm sorry to say this, okay, I'm just really sorry to say it, but it's the same as with like falling in love with someone. I'm just a very like I'm a very pedestrian soul. For me to fall in love with someone, they have to look as good inside as they look outside. Like, both matter to me. So in this sense, maybe because I'm wired that way, when someone who is like fucking 3 meters tall and is like 150 kilos and is like a bearded man bear, and they're going like, oh yeah, I'm Lucy by the way, and I'm totally a girl. I mean, you know, I'm like, right. About the height, you can't do anything. But you haven't even bothered a 1% to, you know, to express yourself. If you are not going to express yourself in a certain way, why do you want me to acknowledge that you're expressing yourself? And now that is a very dangerous critique to make, because okay, it can sound dismissive, but in reality, all it takes is for the other person, for example, to tell me, oh yeah, I just came out like last week and I'm working on things, and you know, that's all it takes. But if the other person is not willing to like ever do anything about it other than claim to be something, I'm sorry, but I'm going to doubt it, because it's the same as someone telling you, well, I am a fucking Tyrannosaurus Rex. You can't see it, I don't roar, and you know, I obviously have a human form, but trust me, I'm a dinosaur. Like, and this is not like to make fun of anything, of gender or of anything, obviously, but I on a personal subjective level very humbly think that, or feel if you will, and that's just how I'm wired, that if you say something, you have to back it up somehow. Whatever it is you're saying has to kind of like be backed up by something, right? And I like accuracy in descriptions. So if you're feeling feminine, sure, yeah. If you're questioning your identity, sure, yeah. But the person in the example that I gave going full blown, oh no, I'm actually a woman, and I want to pass as a woman, and because of that you're going to refer me as such, and I refuse to accept that you cannot see me that way. And again, this is a very pedestrian example because passing should never be, your prime objective unless you want it to be, obviously. It's not about passing, it's about, how you feel. And now I can already understand that some people will say, what if the person truly feels that way but don't want to change their appearance though? Well, there are terms for this, and I don't know them, but a trans girl is not one of those terms. So, because, a trans girl, the term, right? This term can have certain degrees within certain limits. Once these limits are crossed, you can no longer, like, let's say that you're playing football, right? At what point are you, a pro level football player? At what point are you that? Are you telling me that like somebody who just literally touched the ball for 1 second can then claim to be a football player? Like a pro football player? I don't think so. If they have some hours under their belt, perhaps, yeah. If they're actually good at it, perhaps, yeah. Now the difficult part in this comes from like, who's gonna be the judge of that, right? With whose criteria are we gonna go? That's a bit subjective. That's why I said that, like, in my humble opinion, that's why I started with that. But to me at least, maybe you can even call it gatekeeping if you want to be cynical about it, even though I'm not actually gatekeeping anyone from feeling the way they want. I just don't want to acknowledge things that are, not, like, realistically not what they are presented as. And I know, by the same logic, like following the same logic, you can reach some very conservative views, like, oh, but you were born this, so how can you say that? So you're pretentious, Daphne. Yeah, I was born male, but I did what I wanted to stray away from that, biologically. But if I had done nothing at all, like literally nothing, then how valid is it really? I guess it's like what my psychologist once told me, like my therapist, we all have all kinds of weird shit going on, right? All kinds. All of us. It's the percentages that define us and give us a certain label, right? The fact that you have, for example, compulsive thoughts, or you have, like, I don't know, maybe sometimes you like to settle your objects on your desk in a certain way, that doesn't cross the line where you would say, oh, I have OCD. So with the same logic, that's how I view things as a trans girl. I couldn't say I identify as female, but at the same time, not having done anything for it, anything at all. And if you want my honest take on it, the fact that, for example, I have chosen not to go through with like voice coaching, yeah, that's like that could be a fair criticism, right? Though to me now this has become a very different thing. It's like it kind of crossed over to the other side when it comes to my voice, for example, where I'm like, you know what, fuck you, I'll get used to it. I'm done hating. This is also what I did, even though half of it was parental pressure and other things, a bit of it at least was also myself going, you know what, if I'm going to make these changes, I should just sit there and get what I can from it. You know, I can't manage it now due to various things, but while I'm not transitioning, while I'm not on HRT, I can at least try to see and make sure that this is what I want, you know? Kinda. Making do with what you got, essentially. So if you want to see it from that perspective, like from a more positive perspective, from a negative perspective, it was like, yeah, I should have started back then. I shouldn't have relented. I shouldn't have listened. I should have done, like, because I already knew. But I also, a part of me also wanted to just first conquer loving what I can from myself as I was then. And I can't say that it was without any advantage. But anyway, that's just another conversation, I guess. Not you know. What I was trying to say is that it's the same with my voice. I currently feel like I hate it so much that I first need to learn to love it, because and you know, make my peace with it, and then slowly, as I calm down about it, because I'm not calm at all about it, I have dysphoria about it, you know. Once it's not like an enemy anymore, I can perhaps approach it and change it in a much more calm manner, you know, and through that also find the motivation for it, because yeah, you can be motivated to do things under a lot of negativity, but that's, I don't know if that's healthy. So yeah, and you know, it's pretty difficult with my voice, pretty fucking difficult. I'll get there eventually. For now, I have to just learn to accept it first, and we'll see. Anyway, I don't even know how we got here, but the point of the whole point I was trying to make is, yeah, on a technical level, I do agree. Like, objectively, if you told me objectively, and you can only take 10 seconds to think about it, like one breath, I would say that Mutineer is correct. However, in the deepest recesses of my heart, I know for a fact that I wouldn't be able to use the correct pronouns of a person, like the one that I used in my example, which is an extreme example, by the way. I would challenge it. I would not question it or doubt it. I would challenge it. I would be like, you know, tell me more about this. Like, make me believe you. Make me believe you. It doesn't take a lot. It really doesn't take a lot. It objectively does not take a lot at all. But like, show me something. Like, tell me something that I can use as a basis, you know, to appease my mind, let's say. But maybe that's just how I'm wired, right? And maybe part of it is because I have undergone certain things. I feel I've attained something, and I don't like seeing other people out of nowhere just saying, oh yeah, that I did it too, yeah. Oh, you did that? Yeah, I did it too. You're feeling that way? Oh, me too. You know, it irks me. It just rubs me the wrong way. I want people to be genuine, and I want them to be realistic. To a degree, you know, because again, it doesn't really take much, in my opinion. All it would take is like for someone to say, oh, yeah, I'm working on it, or, you know, something like that. But like straight up just walking to you and saying, okay, yeah, well, you know, just a second ago, I just decided I'm this. It doesn't mean I'm gonna have to accept you as this. It means I can challenge it. It means I can ask about it. It means I can have my own opinion about it, let's say. Not disrespectfully, but like, if I couldn't do it, I would just tell the other person in their face, like, I'm sorry, but like, I just, you know, I'm having difficulty because you haven't really done anything. You're just, you know, you just decided it. Like, literally, just now. You just literally decided it. This isn't how this works. You just don't decide to be things. There's a process. And to downplay it to a split-second decision, like a finger snap and now you're something else, I feel it's disrespectful to the whole journey. and challenges and effort. And even though it should never feel like work, which is what Mutineer said, you are going to have to work on yourself, and you are going to have to work on your confidence and in feeling alone, because in some scenarios people will abandon you. It happened to me. So somebody coming in and telling me, oh, that? Yeah, sure, nah, I ain't gonna do all that. I'm just a girl. Right now, I'm just a girl, that's it. I decided it, you're gonna treat me as one. Yeah, I find it questionable. That's all. I'm not saying, I'm not extending it to the point where you would call me conservative or a right wing, whatever. I'm just extending it to a reasonable degree of doubt. Because again, it just doesn't take a lot to, to justify it or explain it. I don't want to say justify it, but to convey it or to communicate to me what's going on that led to that decision, why you believe it. Have you spent even 1 hour thinking about it? Because otherwise it's just a fantasy, just a whim, just something you say to people online, just something you pretend, perhaps something you're not even sure about, maybe, who knows, right? So that's all I'm saying. Anyway, I'm pretty sure that it's very easy to take it the wrong way, and you can if you want to. I don't give a fuck, so yeah, it's fine. But I would say that, this isn't my stance towards gender, matters of gender. It's my stance in general. Like, somebody comes to me and says, oh, you know what, the sky is fucking red. Right now it's red. Like, look outside, it's fucking red. It's literally red. It's so red, it's like a traffic light. And I look outside and it's like a blue sky. I will question it. I won't say, oh, yeah, okay, sure. I'm just not that kind of person. So that's why I said that it's not like political. It's not gender identity based. It's just who I am. You can't just come to me and say, oh, this is it. This is it. I am better than Bruce fucking Lee. I am better than Primetime Tyson. And just, have the shape of a couch potato. You just fucking can't. You cannot do that. Where is like or if that's the case, show me, fucking show me right now, like fucking, let's spar, show me. That's all I'm asking. I'm not even doubting you, I'm just asking, I'm just asking you what's going on. And it's the same for gender. For me, that's the way I'm wired. Like, that's the way my brain is wired. I'm sorry if that offends, but that's just how it is. So while I agree on what Mutineer is saying, at the same time I also have reservations, because it's not that simple. Yes, but also no. That's my answer. It's like, yeah, okay, I will respect it, but also no. Like, I can't explain it. Like, femininity is something, or masculinity, right? Or anything in between, is something that you exude. It's something that the other person feels, like an aura, like a vibe, an energy, a mood that surrounds you, and when you're near others, it permeates them, and your whole being, eases them into accepting you in a certain way. So to me, again, like a literal man bear walking up to me and going like, oh, I'm a pretty little girl, I ain't getting those vibes. Maybe you should convince me, just show me. What do you mean? Explain to me. Like, please talk to me about that. Like, I want to, I want to see what's going on. I want to accept it. I am open-minded, okay, obviously. I mean, I'm a trans girl myself, as I said. But just give me something. Throw me a fucking bone, something, anything, just to convince me that it's not like some kind of fucking, spur of the moment, kind of like fucking whim that you're having, Anyway, I hope it makes sense. I'm not sure I'm explaining it like 100% correctly. And again, as I said, it's like, that's just me. I think objectively, question mark, what Mutineer is saying is correct. I just like to have some extra layers there. And hey, if that's not okay with someone, then that's not okay with someone. But I also don't have to, you know, to be their friend. You know, if somebody tells me something outlandish and they can't prove it, but they're, you know, flaunting it, you know, I probably won't consider them, you know, a worthwhile person in that case, you know, as a person in my company, let's say. So yeah, and that's coming from a trans girl with a very deep voice, by the way. But hey, you know, as Rook says, I did most of the work. I did what I wanted to do, you know, and now here I am. So maybe that's also why I'm more accepting of people who did the same. Maybe because my journey wasn't as simple as finger snap, I'm a girl now. You know, it wasn't that simple. I'm sorry. I wish it was. I wish it was that simple for everyone. You know, and that we had the technology to support it, but we don't. And it's not. And so I'll always require some kind of, you know, like, as they say, the burden of proof lies with the one who makes the claim, you know. And burden of proof in this case is so harmless that, in my opinion, is nowhere near anything, you know, bigoted or racist. It's just a very natural curiosity of like, what is this thing that you're talking about, friend? Let's talk about it. Are you sure? You know, what exactly are you talking about? Explain. You know, I would like to know. Yeah. So yeah. Okay. I guess we all have the right to be the way, you know, we want to be, and we have our reasons. And I don't think I'm being unreasonable in this, and I've wasted enough time talking about it. But hey, let's move on.
However that feels comfortable for you. There are men who like to wear more so-called feminine clothing, and women who, for example, don't like to wear skirts or dresses for reasons that have nothing to do with gender identity. You can find pants too restrictive and thus prefer to wear skirts. You can find skirts uncomfortable, maybe your legs rub against each other. Or maybe you just don't like how you look like in skirts or dresses or pants or button-ups or jackets or whatever other article of clothing. How you dress has no real bearing on how you feel inside. How you dress is an aesthetic choice you make that has more to do with your aesthetic style than gender. And yes, sure, clothing choices and gender identity are often correlated in our society, but it's extremely offensive to reduce trans identities to this person doesn't like wearing skirts, so that must.
Yeah, this is what I'm talking about. So again, this point is nullified by Mutineer, but also made by Mutineer. Yeah, you don't, exactly the same way, you don't want to be like, oh, just because this person is wearing some feminine clothes, it doesn't mean that they are trans. But that's what I'm saying as well. Like, there are more things to it. It's the same thing but flipped around, you see? So in my eyes, as a trans girl, what Mutineer is saying is literally defeating the point they just made, or he just made. Exactly because someone saying something doesn't necessarily mean it to be true, you know? Doesn't necessarily means it's true, sorry. I phrased it wrongly. So yeah, just, yeah, you know? And if by extent we take it to a bit further, you can say that, like, it's more, being a trans girl or a trans guy, I guess, is more about preferring to wear, more than just, sorry, my phrasing sucks, wearing a skirt every now and then, you know, in the privacy of your room. There's more to it. It's more nuanced, okay, and complicated, dare I say. So reducing something like being a trans person to, oh, anyone can be that right now, if they decided right now, that's it. They don't need to have anything, no work, no this, no that, no HRT, no nothing. So how can you say that but then say what someone wears doesn't define them? So you basically do understand the concept that it needs a bit more, right? Boom, got you. That's what I mean, right? And it doesn't have to go all the way to where some fucking bigots go like, oh, were you born with a pussy? You don't have to go that far, but it does have to go a little far. Just a little far, you know, far enough that it's not just a passing whim, you know. Meet someone in Final Fantasy and they tell you, oh, me? Yeah, absolutely, I'm a girl. And then they send you a picture and it's like a man bear, you know. And if it sounds specific, it's because, you know, that's not a real example. To which I didn't hate the person. I just, you know, I just very respectfully said, well, this is not what I'm looking for. If you truly feel that way, perhaps you should push towards that direction. There are resources you can look up, this, that. I offered some information. I offered, you know, consolation, dare I say, but genuine consolation, you know, without any negative connotations there. And I moved on because that's just not the you know, the flavor of ice cream that I like, or the flavor of ice cream that I was looking for. Okay, so I think it's totally okay, and I think Mutineer just proved that it's totally okay to at least have some standards or some criteria as a person. So I think that, yeah, basically Mutineer here, I don't know, he completely just nullified his own point, in my eyes at least. But hey, which also doesn't mean, oh, stupid fucking trans people. No, I'm just like trying to be objective in a vacuum as much as I can, I guess. So, you know, this sounds like a back and forth with himself, and just literally defeating his own arguments left and right so far. But let's see.
Must mean they want to be a man, or this person wants to wear dresses, so that must mean they want to be a woman. I will come back to this when we discuss Tosh and their non-binary identity. If you choose I'm getting there when you look in the mirror, I was personally expecting my character to talk about how they're still going through the transition process and haven't yet reached a point where they're 100% comfortable with their body and appearance, but that it's been getting better. Instead, Rook says, I don't know, Varric. Catching my reflection still hits hard some days, but knowing who I am is worth it. And every day when I look in that mirror, I'm closer to seeing the man I want to be staring back. Now look, this option is slightly better than the first one, but it's still extremely dramatic and cringy. And even worse than that, it kind of implies that knowing who you are is some magical part of being trans that makes everything better. Like, no, I have known who I am since I was 4 years old, and knowing who I was from such an early age only made me feel worse about life.
Again, defeating his own argument. So he does realize that there is pressure, there is a journey. It does feel sometimes like work, because there is work to be done in stealing yourself, you know. And also that answer, again, so by Mutineer's criteria, I am the cringiest person in existence because I have caught myself saying exactly these words, and it hurt. You know, I have caught myself telling myself like, you know, I don't know, I'm not there yet. Like I say that with my voice, for example, sometimes. Like, damn, you know, I'm close to being like 100, but in my eyes, I still have some work to do. Still, though, I've made it this far, and I'm happy with it. You know. I don't understand what Mutineer is trying to say here, because he's going back and forth and like arguing with himself. I will listen to it more though. Let's see.
Because I had to endure people misgendering me and treating me like a girl for far too many years until I became an adult and was finally able to make my own choices and transition. Knowing who you are is a basic part of being human. If you don't know who you are, then I think you have some mental issues. Everyone knows who they are, or else if they don't, it simply means they're still a child and haven't had enough experiences to discover their various perspectives and preferences.
That's a very acidic statement. We never really stop learning who we are. I can't accept what Mutineer is saying here. Finding out about ourselves is such a huge journey. So just dismissing it, oh, if you don't know who you are, then you're still a child. No, you can reach like 80 years old and you're still like discovering stuff about yourself. That's because even just opening the door and going outside will bombard you with change in many ways. Small changes, but also sometimes huge changes. You might step outside your door and go to the grocery store, and boom, you just met the person you're gonna spend the next like 5 years with. And through that, you're going to learn so much about yourself. It's a new person, and through them, you're going to see yourself in a different perspective, and you're going to change, and you're going to wonder, how did you not see all that, and stuff like that. Is that childish? I don't think so. That's a really hot take right there. I'm not gonna say it's an L take. It's definitely not a W. This is a hot take. Like, I don't agree necessarily with this. There is some vitriol in that statement. So I'll just let it go. I'll just say I don't agree with this. There are people who say, oh, I know myself, and if you don't know yourself by the time you're 26 or some other arbitrary number, you're still a child. It's usually they are more likely to not know themselves. I'm sorry to say. That's what I have come to realize. The more certain somebody sounds, the more likely it is they're still going through some process of learning. So, there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. So even though usually I'm a fucking bitch when it comes to things like that and being fucking toxic as fuck if I want to, that's for fun. This statement, I found it genuinely toxic to say. You don't know anyone's circumstances. Some people are not even given the chance to grow up. You know? They don't live in an environment where they can flourish and discover. And Mutineer himself said, you know, I'm Romanian, to quote. It was difficult growing up here. Yeah. So we have a person who did have to work through adversity, did have the opportunity to grow through it and to learn about themselves. But they're arguing that no, it's just way too easy and you should know everything by that age. But then they also say, I always knew and it was extremely difficult until that age. Like, no, you lost me completely. But let's move on and see, like, if any of this is like if I find it interesting or not. I don't know. It's interesting for sure. And obviously I'm not saying every trans guy is like Mutineer. Obviously, just like there are many different people who are trans girls and will have, obviously, like any other human, completely different opinions, even on this article, probably. So I'm just, you know, you get it. Let's roll.
Differences that make up their personality and identity. I understand that some trans people realize that they are trans later in life than I did, but I still think it's harmful to say knowing who I am is worth it, because at first, knowing who you are only brings you misery and dysphoria, because who you are inside doesn't match the outside.
Are you fucking shitting me? Of course it's worth knowing some things. Even if they bring you pain, you now know what to do. You now have a goal. What are you saying? What is this person saying? What are you saying? You're contradicting yourself, but also what the fuck are you telling me? That it's better to not know? Like, make up your mind. Like, you don't want to know if you're trans? Or you do want to know if you're trans? Like, and it's bad but also good, and also you shouldn't, but you definitely should. And it's a happy thing but also a sad thing, and torture. What are you even on about? What are you fucking saying? I'm losing my shit. Okay, let's roll.
I have no idea who wrote this crap, but they clearly do not understand what it's like to be trans, or else have some serious trauma and honestly internalized transphobia to write a trans character in this way. I'm closer to seeing the man I want to be. I am a man. I don't want to be one. Like, sure, a little.
It's okay. This last part, okay, you know what? I understand this last part. Yeah, I understand it. At the same time, it's just a figure of speech. It's like, it's a figure of speech. You know what? It's just a figure of speech. I think Mutineer here is just going off the rails on this one. In this instance, about this matter, okay? I'm not talking about the whole video, but this one, just let it go. Just chill out, man. Just chill out. It's an expression. There's nothing wrong with what was said there. I don't know. It's too. It's a lot in the style of how dare you. That's not what I experienced. So how dare you? It's just an expression. Like, let me hear it again. Let me hear it again. One sec. Wait.
Because who you are inside doesn't match the outside. I have no idea who wrote this crap, but they clearly do not understand what it's like to be trans, or else have some serious trauma and honestly internalized transphobia to write a trans character in this way. I'm been getting better. Instead, Rook says, I don't know, Varric. Catching my reflection still hits hard some days, but knowing who I am is worth it. And every day when I look in that mirror, I'm closer to seeing the man I want to be staring back. Now look, this option is slightly better than
There is nothing wrong with it. It's cliche is what it is, but it's not bad.
simply means they're still a child and haven't had enough experiences to discover that stay and internalized it when I was 4, because I didn't have any better words in my vocabulary and I didn't even know that other trans people existed. Rook, however, is implied to be a full-ass adult who should know much better than to perpetuate these kinds of phrases which suggest that trans people are only playing at being the other gender. This is a harmful way to represent trans people.
Wait, when did that even happen? 1 second, when did that even happen? Wait a moment. What the fuck? I'm confused.
Say knowing who I am is worth it, because at first, knowing who you are only brings you misery and dysphoria, because who you are inside doesn't match the outside. I have no idea who wrote this crap, but they clearly do not understand what it's like to be trans, or else have some serious trauma and honestly internalized transphobia to write a trans character in this way. I'm closer to seeing the man I want to be. I am a man. I don't.
Okay, so usually when someone says like that, I'm closer to seeing what I want to see. Like, forget the gender. Forget everything about that. I'm closer to what I want to be. What's wrong with that? You know? What's wrong with that? I don't get it. It eludes me completely, because yes, you feel it from day one. Yeah. Like, I had this conscious thought or subconscious thought ever since I remember, looking back at it, you know. So yes, I knew, sure, but there were definitely moments in my life where I would look in a mirror and I would go, like, literally, so I don't know, according to Mutineer, I'm transphobic and childish and all those things. Wow, interesting take, I guess, because there have been days where, you know, I look at myself in the mirror and I go like, yeah, this is pretty close to what I want to be, because it is close to what I want to be, you know. That's yeah, it is actually a rather simple statement. There isn't any deep implication about, oh, it's not something malicious like, oh, I have trained myself to be a girl hard enough and I'm proud of it. It's not that is like reading way too deep into it. All the person is saying, and all I'm saying in these cases, like, I'll tell you what I mean when I say that, for example, that hey, yeah, this looks good. This looks good. I'm not model level, but it looks good and I like it. Good going. You know, good fucking work. Good job. You know, you externalized what you felt you were to a degree where you feel like it's okay to pat yourself in the back a little and say, yeah, this is close. You know, it doesn't have to do with like how you felt. Like Rook there is not saying I have brainwashed myself enough to believe I'm a girl. Rook is saying, or a guy, Rook is saying, oh, good going, essentially. And the way that they wrote this is cliche, sure. But is it like horrible? Or, I don't know, like, this is nitpicking. And very cynical nitpicking and a little bit infuriated nitpicking, I'll say. I don't know. Jesus, it feels like I feel attacked. Like for real, I feel attacked by this. Because so far I've told myself both of those things. And I do believe I don't know myself enough in certain things. In many things, I have a lot to learn. And I have work to do. And so I guess, you know, to mutineer here, I must again be evidently very childish and transphobic somehow. It reminds me that time when I was called the Nazi. Like, what? What? I guess I've been called fatphobic as well, just because I told someone who was like literal land whale that if it's okay, I would rather follow my own advice rather than their advice when it comes to nutrition, just because that person obviously had no idea about nutrition, not just because of how they looked, but also because of what they said. And I was immediately labeled fatphobic. So if we combine all these opinions together, I am the fucking shittiest person that has ever walked the earth, somehow. Both to trans people, I guess, and also to fucking conservatives. I guess at that point I might find a ditch and jump in there, or just laugh at all those people. Left and right, everyone has bad apples, and that's not news. And it seems to me that mutineer here is starting to sound like a bad apple to me. But I'll go on because it's interesting to dissect.
Don't want to be one. Like, sure, a little kid wouldn't have the words to express themselves properly and would say things like, I think I was born in the wrong body, I should have been born a boy, or I want to be a boy. I said those things when I was 4 because I didn't have any better.
Oh, you said those things. So you said you want to be a boy, so then where's the theory about I am and always was? You see what I mean? It's a figure of speech. It's not like you just say those things. It's like it's an expression. You see what I mean? It's like, what? Yeah, you didn't have the vocabulary to say what? I am a girl? You didn't have that vocabulary? You did have the vocabulary. It's just that, like, that's how you say, that's how you express your desire to have had been born different. That's all there is. Like, why are you... And then you can add the other half of the sentence, which is, but I'm doing good. Like, despite being born X but wanting to be Y, I have come a long way in expressing myself the way that I want, and also physically in appearance. You know, as much inside as outside. So what's wrong with expressing? Like, I don't get you, man. I don't get you. You're confused. Let's go on.
Better words in my vocabulary, and I didn't even know that other trans people existed. Rook, however, is implied to be a full-ass adult who should know much better than to perpetuate these kinds of phrases, which suggest that trans people are only playing at being the other gender. This is a harmful way to represent trans people because it allows those who are anti-trans to use these things against us by saying, well, it's just dress up. They only want to be like this other gender but aren't really. Ugh. Anyway, on to the third option. Feels good to see the real me. I chose this option during my VeilGuard stream, and it made me have such a visceral reaction because that's not what I wanted my character to say. I thought my rook would say that their transition took a long time, but that they're now really happy with where they are and it feels so good to see themselves in the...
Are you literally stupid? Because the answer I'm getting there and the dialogue it gives is exactly what you said is wrong and bad, but now you're saying that's the exact sentence that you would wish your character said. Like literally though. Listen to this. Fucking literally listen to this. Listen to this.
Playing at being the other gender. This is a harmful way.
Oh, and playing at being the other gender. Yeah, again, that makes my point that like you can't just say things. You can't just put on a skirt and say things. Because otherwise you're just playing at being that. Anyway, moving on, that wasn't the main point.
To represent trans people because it allows those who are anti-trans to use these things against us by saying, well, it's just dress up. They only want to be like this other gender but aren't really. Ugh. Anyway, on to the third option. Feels good to see the real me. I chose this option during my VeilGuard.
You know who plays at being something? You know who does exactly what made Mutineer sigh in disgust, do this like, you know? It's people who don't substantiate their claims. And that's why I like it when people substantiate their claims. Not with anything absurd. Again, it's very easy to meet criteria. But there has to be something there. Otherwise you're just playing dress up, aren't you? So my turn to say, you know? That's when I say, when somebody goes like, oh yeah, of course I'm a girl. Okay, but like, do you even like, I don't know, do you even feel that way? Do you even really use, you know, female pronouns? Are you like, you know, anything to base it on, like anything? I'm not like, again, I'm not a bigot, I'm not conservative, but like anything, like the simplest thing, like anything. Or did you just decide it? Because then it's like, you know? But anyway, let's see this, because this is the point right now.
Stream, and it made me have such a visceral reaction because that's not what I wanted my character to say. I thought my rook would say that their transition took a long time, but that they're now really happy with where they are and it feels so good to see themselves in the mirror.
This is literally the answer I'm getting there. This is literally the answer the character said when they said I'm getting there. Literally. Which made Mutineer wince, you know? Go like, again. But that was literally the answer. Anyway, okay, let's move on. But like, I find this highly confusing.
I chose this option because I thought it would describe my experience as someone who had to wait quite a long time to be able to transition, and then it also took a few years until I got to a point where I truly felt comfortable in my body. But no, what Rook actually...
But again, that's what I'm getting there said. Like, something along the lines of, to paraphrase, it took some effort, but now I'm here and I'm like closer to what I want to be. But that made Mutineer also lose his shit. But like, you have to decide. Anyway, let's go on.
What he says is, it took a while for me to figure out why the face staring back from the mirror felt wrong. But once I was able to be honest with myself, it was a relief to figure out I was trans. And it's worth it to look in the mirror today and see the man I am staring back. Ugh, blech. Oh god.
Bro, what's wrong with that? Bro, are you okay? Like, what's wrong? Like, did you know that there are like grown-ass people, even in their 40s, even in their 30s, where they feel this thing and they can't explain it. They don't have the resources. They don't have the know-how. They don't have the maturity, perhaps, but not in a bad way, but in a way where they weren't given the chance. Maybe they dismissed it as whimsical thoughts or something, but it kept coming back and then they didn't know what to do. How many times have I read this story? A person who goes like, I just realized that all this, you know, all along, what I have been feeling, you know, was actually that I identify as this, and that explains so much, and now everything makes sense. And what's wrong with that, dude? That's there are people who feel. Are you gonna invalidate them? Are you just gonna invalidate? Like, wow, this is like so condescending, dude. I can hardly watch this. Like, he's very condescending. Ah, damn. Okay, let's go on.
I'm so sorry. This is just so bad. Here's the thing. I can't speak for the experiences of trans people who realize that they're trans later in life, so perhaps for them it really was a relief to figure out that they're trans after they felt uncomfortable in their bodies for a long time but couldn't figure out why. The reason this choice bothers me isn't because of that. It bothers me because the paraphrased option that you choose does not imply whatsoever that you are about to say that your character realized they were trans later in life. I did not want to choose this option for my character. If I want to create a trans character in a video game, if I have such an option,
Okay, fair point. But now we're beyond trans representation. Now we're crossing over to another problem that VeilGuard has, but which doesn't have anything to do with the matter at hand. And that problem is the implied dialogue system that they have, which is trash in my opinion, getting in the way of choosing the right option. And in a vacuum, I will agree. I say in a vacuum because it's like beyond the trans representation thing that we're supposed to be examining here. Yeah, of course, VeilGuard has a huge problem with that, and I'm not even sure why they chose to do this whole thing again. In Inquisition, more or less, and maybe it was me being lucky. I don't know if the experience was the same for other people, but I personally applauded the system that they had there because it seems like even though your character didn't exactly say what you were picking, and what you were picking were like 3 words, what your character said, or mine at least, my Inquisitor at least, was very close to what I would have said. And it made me connect to the character. Was it risky? Should they have done a more in-depth dialogue system? Yes, absolutely. But if the majority of people felt like their opinions and feelings and expressions were represented by the choices they picked, then that was a best case scenario of this system of dialogue. Though in general, I hate this system of dialogue. And in VeilGuard, outside of what we saw now, it has been horrible because I've watched the playthrough and it's just bad. It's just bad. Like some of the stuff your character says don't really relate to what you picked. It's an issue for sure. Not so much in Inquisition though, not for me at least, but I don't know about other people, so I'm not gonna say it was great. It worked for me, is what I'm gonna say in Inquisition. But in VeilGuard, from what I've seen, which is the full playthrough, it really wouldn't work for me. It is they kind of dropped the ball. That's why I'm saying, why did you go with that system? It was a risk for Inquisition as well. Like, why did you go with that system? Nobody fucking likes this system. People want more control over what they want to say. And to be fair, Telltale games also have that to a degree, but it's far more nuanced. Whereas in VeilGuard, it is so simplistic that more often than not, your character will just say nonsense in relation to what you wanted them to say. That's what I've observed, at least. I could be wrong, I don't know. Oh, and give me 5. I will BRB. Let me check my Discord without you peeping in, okay? Alright, I'm back. And with that, let's go on.
Comment on how they feel about their trans identity, I want my experience to be included too. I don't want my character to not have known they were trans for a long time. I knew since I was a little kid. Let my character have that option too. If you're including the option to say Rook realized their gender identity later in life, then you have to have an option for people who basically always knew as well. It's not fair to only represent one particular person's trans experience and pass it off as the only experience your character can have. I don't want my character to say it took them a long time to figure out they were trans. I don't want my character to say that transitioning was work that they had to stick with. And I don't want my character to say the man they want to be is closer to staring back in the mirror. And at the very least, if these are the only options you are going to include, then paraphrase them more accurately so that I can understand what they actually say. Because then I would simply decide that I don't want my character to be trans if this is the way you represent trans people in your game. So no, I don't think the representation of trans people is done well in the choices Rook is given to discuss their trans identity. These choices highlight only a small subset of trans people, and if your experience as a trans person doesn't match this very particular personal fantasy of the creators, then tough luck. Your identity doesn't matter to them. These choices also perpetuate.
No, I'll say that they are serviceable. They're not the best, but they're serviceable dialogues. And I feel at this point it's just entitlement. It is a fact that some people were going to be better represented, some people not. Some opinions, let's say not people, but some opinions better represented. They can't have 20 different answers. They will only have, I guess, 3, which is not a lot. They could have had 5. Remember Dragon Age Origins? That had plenty of options in every dialogue. They could have gone for that. But trust me when I say, and this is not to defend VeilGuard, but even if it included 50 options, some people would still feel left out, you know? So yeah, it's kind of like at least covering some generic baselines is what they went for. I'm not saying it's the best. It's serviceable. It will cover some cases, and you just have to decide, you know, which is the closest to what you want. And just as a side note, the angle which Mutineer would want to take was the top left choice, as we saw, but they were mad at it as well. So I think in this case, in this particular isolated case, I think Mutineer is just entitled. Somebody else could make the same argument and present it in a way that doesn't paint them as entitled, but the way that Mutineer did it, I'm sorry, but he was arguing with himself there. So in this isolated case, I see no good examples of that particular dialogue tree failing. But I can understand what Mutineer is trying to say, while at the same time also, sadly, you can't cover every angle. But as far as Mutineer goes, which is the person I am commenting on, so that's what I'm gonna say, that's just entitlement. They give you 3 generic answers, one being, yeah, you know, it was tough, but I'm making it, and the other one being, whatever, and the other one also being something like that, where they're basically trying to convey that, hey, you know, the going was tough, but I made it. You know, flavors of that, which is something that the trans person definitely will say. That's my opinion. If you show me a person who is trans and their transition has been flawless, a smooth, silky smooth, dreamy pink journey, I will show you a liar. Or a person who is one of those people who just finger snapped and said, okay, now I'm trans and my journey is over. So there is no way, realistically speaking. I wish it was that way. It's not. Unless you're living some, I don't know, extremely privileged life, I guess. Like extremely privileged and isolated and safeguarded life in a gilded cage. Because otherwise, as Mutineer himself points out, which at this point he's making and unmaking all these points, he pointed out that it's not a smooth going, right? Even under the best of circumstances, of knowing it, of like being aware of it, of having the vocabulary, of expressing it, of having the environment to do it, you're still gonna get fucked up your fucking sweet bum. Okay? What else do you want me to fucking say? Let's move on.
Perpetuate harmful ideas such as trans people only wanting to dress up as the other gender, and are on the whole written in an overdramatic way that has the opposite effect.
Again making my point by unmaking his point. Of course it's not just dress up. You can't just clap your fingers or like clap your hands and you're now a woman, Harry. And the same, like you can't clap your hands, okay, you're a boy now. You can't. You're just saying it yourself, but earlier you were saying, you stupid fuck. Earlier you were saying it is that easy and should be that. Fuck off. Fuck off, just continue talking. I want to hear the rest of it.
Instead of making you feel more connected to the experience of a trans character, you are put off by the dramatics and see it as cringy instead. And finally, let us move on to the main attraction of this horror show, which I'm sure people have been the most horrified by.
Bro, you can't just talk about cringy and entitled and melodramatic when you're the one going like, oh, they don't have the exact one answer I want. Even though they do, but you don't want it because, I don't know, it just stinks to you for some fucking reason. And you're going like, oh my god, is that how they see it? And like, bro. Okay, just fucking go on.
The character of Tosh and the portrayal of their realization that they are non-binary. There are 3 scenes I'm going to analyze. Tosh and Nev talking about gender dysphoria, Tosh coming out as non-binary to their mother, and the infamous Isabella Barv scene. First, Tosh and Nev discussing gender.
Why do you run around in fancy mage clothes?
Because I like them?
You're barely even wearing a shirt.
You fight Anton with a bare midriff.
Everything all right?
We're fine. Just trading fashion tips. So what I wear is a problem for you?
It's not. It's just... why dress like that? Are you trying to make your mother happy?
Let's take a look at the beginning of this scene.
So, this is a case of the devs making a character completely unlikable. Whether that's on purpose or not, I cannot understand. But you know what? I don't have a problem with it. The reason why I don't have a problem with it is because there is a portion of people who are going to bully you for something you're doing, which they would like to do, but don't really even know where to start. And so they're trying to make fun of it, even though they themselves would have liked to do the same. And these people aren't as rare as you would think. So what this weird Kunari is doing here is going like, hey, what are you doing with that slutty outfit? And then the maids goes like, oh, you're one to talk, look at your outfit. Which, yeah, fair. Yeah, it's a fair snap. It's a fair snap. Like, look at you, you're one to talk, like your midriff is exposed, like, fuck you, pretentious bitch. And the other one, and then, you know, she asks like, anyway, what's your problem with what I'm wearing? And so the other girl is saying, it's not that I hate it, but like, what's the deal with that, you know, dress code anyway? Because she's clumsily and aggressively, because she's a Kunari and she's like that. Like if you've watched VeilGuard, you will know that she is like that. She's very fucked up with words. She's very rough. And so she goes like, the problem here is that the devs were trying to present it as cute. However, this is not cute. This is something that I have had to face in my life in various forms. And so, yeah, my reaction was almost always just like the mage's reaction, like, well, milder, because I would say, why do you ask? Like, what do you care what I'm wearing? And, you know, I would then wait for the other person to go with it, because I'm smarter than snapping back in that way. Sometimes I'm not as smart, but like when it comes to that, I am. Because if that in that moment, if you snap back and you say, hey, look at you though, you're just engaging in a perpetual war of like, no you. Like that's not gonna work. So for me, what works is usually going like, what's it to you anyways? Like, you know, you don't have to look at me. What's your problem? Why are you looking at me if you don't like it? As simple as that. Like, well, why are you looking at me if you don't like what you see? You know? And if the other person gets offended, which has happened, and goes like, I don't look at you because I like you, but like because you look fucking like a clown or something, or whatever they would say, or other words that I don't care to repeat, I would be like, okay, well, great for you that you're not me, and great for me that I'm not you. You know, have a good night. Like that's how you solve that shit. But if the person is like the kunari and they're actually interested, they're gonna bite that bait when you say, you know, what do you care anyways? When you say that, they're gonna bite if they're actually interested. And this is what happens here, because she actually bites. Because if you notice, she goes, you know, she's trying to find the reason, even though she's still trying to mask it as, you know, not being insecure, through which she seems very insecure. And you can tell by the body language that she's feeling very insecure. And her only way to address that without feeling even more insecure is to appear aggressive, because aggressiveness is all she knows. Because she is that kind of person, as we have seen throughout VeilGuard up to this point. She's just, honestly, just a fucking idiot. She's literally like the stereotypical fucking barbarian. So, and she's angry and a teenager, from what I remember. So yeah, she's kind of like either she's a teenager or she's like immature, which either or you choose. But that's the impression I got. Does that mean it's a badly written character? No, it's just one you don't like. It's just one that naturally, like, who would like somebody like that? But maybe they grow, you know. But is it realistic though? That's what I should ask. Is it though realistic? Can a person talk like that? Yes, absolutely. Abso-fucking-lutely. They can be insecure enough to act exactly like this. Exactly to the word. Exactly like this. I've even been told, literally, why do you dress like that? Is your mother proud? I've literally been told that in real life. Make of that what you will, but this is a realistic dialogue. Is the character cringy? Yes. Is she unlikable for this? Yes. But is it realistic? Does it happen? Yes, you bet. You bet your fucking ass. Her reactions, 10 out of 10. Her reactions, 10 out of 10. I don't like them, but they exist. They're realistic. 10 out of 10. That's good dialogue right there. I'm sorry. If that surprises you, I'm sorry. This is good dialogue. I don't even want to defend the game, but this is dialogue that I have heard, I've listened to with my own ears. I was there. I was here. I was there. So I know for a fact this is not a bad dialogue, because you may not like it, but it's true. So is it cringy? Yes, but it's realistic. It can happen, you know. So let's see how this plays out.
Are you trying to make your mother happy?
Let's take a look at the beginning of this scene. Tosh, for some reason, is saying that Nev is dressed in a way that is unnatural or too feminine, and implies that Nev may be dressing in such a manner just because she wants to make her own mother happy. I'm sorry, but this is quite possibly the worst introduction to someone talking about gender dysphoria that I've ever seen. First of all, Nev doesn't even wear particularly feminine clothing. She wears pants, she has a button-up
No, no, and no, and no again. This is exactly how an insecure person would approach, an insecure, aggressive, immature person would approach the matter. What I assume is happening here is that the Kunari sees the mage. The mage exudes, whether you like it or not, the mage exudes a kind of confidence and know-how, and they're also a mage, implying at least some kind of intelligence. So, of course, that's how an immature fucking barbarian would approach this. It's not unexpected. I don't find it unrealistic in any way. Moving on.
shirt that, sure, shows off a lot of her chest.
And obviously, the Kunari does not believe that the mage is doing that for their mother. Obviously they don't. Obviously. They're just trying to taunt them because they're insecure. That's all. How is that hard to understand?
But her chest is flat, and really her clothing doesn't scream femininity at me. Nev's clothing is stylish, but honestly more in the way that I would expect a
Interesting that Mutineer is now saying that clothing does not exude confidence, sorry, femininity, because earlier Mutineer was saying it doesn't matter. I'm telling you, I already don't like this video because of Mutineer. It could have been a very good video, but so far it's just a person expressing their grudges with a game. I have not personally seen so far by this video. For other reasons, I still think that it is correct that VeilGuard does not represent trans people well. Yeah, okay. There are certain things that I can't agree on. But in this video we don't see that, we just see Mutineer going like, I don't like that, and throwing it out the window, and then going like, that, I also don't like that, I throw it out of the window. And why are things the way I would have liked? Like that's this video so far, and it's becoming very tiring at this point. So I don't know if I'll be able to go through all of it, because it's like 15 minutes, which means we have half an hour more. Maybe I can endure it, but maybe not. And also that stab at the mage. Yeah, the mage is not flat-chested completely. Let me look at it a little bit, actually.
It's trading fashion tips. So what I wear is a problem for you?
I have difficulty discerning whether or not she's flat-chested. Not that it matters, because as Mutineer himself said, why would that matter? You can feel feminine, right, without a prominent chest. What's your fucking problem? Why do you feel the need to express that? Like jealous or something? Like what the fuck, bro? Just let it be. What, she has to have implants or something? Does her clothes denote any boobs? No. So what's your complaint about this? I don't fucking get it. I don't know. But like I'm also gonna say that it's also difficult to say because of the fabric and how open it is here. Obviously she's not using a push-up bra, so you wouldn't be seeing like two balls pressed together like a chest ass. Okay, and also she's got this scarf which conceals even more of the curve, in, you know, under which condition we can't really know her measurements. So interesting. Like, to me, guessing her measurements is as obscure from this screen as hers.
It's not. It's just... Why dress like that? Are you trying to make your mother happy?
Let's take a look at the beginning of this scene. Tosh, for some reason, is saying that Nev is dressed in a way that is unnatural or too feminine, and implies that Nev may be dressing in such a manner just because she wants to make her own mother happy. I'm sorry, but this is quite possibly the worst introduction to someone talking about gender dysphoria that I've ever seen. First of all, Nev doesn't even wear particularly feminine clothing. She wears pants, she has a button-up shirt that, sure, shows off a lot of her chest, but her chest is flat, and really, her clothing doesn't scream femininity at me. Nev's clothing is stylish, but honestly more in the way that I would expect a gay man to dress rather than a woman. She just doesn't look all that feminine. In fact, it would be extremely hard to make Tosh have this conversation with any of the female characters in the party, because no one wears dresses or skirts. No one looks particularly feminine. Balara wears
So now Mutineer is telling us that, like, yes, clothes actually do denote your femininity. Okay, make up your mind, bro. First of all. Second of all, as much as I like slutty clothes, dude, the people who wear the sluttiest clothes ever are some kind of man bear 90% of the time in every MMO. Trust me, it's not a criteria you want to be going by, okay? I'm a very, believe it or not, I'm a feminine person, or I can be very feminine if you inspire me to be, because that's how I work, but that's not the point. The point is I can be very feminine, yet I always dress my character, not always, that's also a lie. Depending on the mood, I can be seen to be dressing my characters very practically and very functionally. Now, under that light, I can't fault the characters of Inquisition for opting for more adventurer outfits. So why are you saying that the Kunari could not have this conversation with anyone because no one is feminine? What, you need them, like, so are you saying that I can't discuss with a masculine barely man the fact that I'm trans because they're masculine, and what, that scares me? I have in fact discussed my gender identity very early on in life, first and foremost not with the most feminine people in the planet, because they were hairy manly men, which were my friends. So and let me assure you, none of them were wearing a skirt or revealing fucking outfits. What is the point of this critique? What? What? So I can't talk to a man, to a straight man, about my gender identity because, what, they're not a slutty fucking Chinese sex doll? A plastic ass looking Stellar Blade kind of fucking character? That's why I can't talk to them about, like, my gender. Like, what are you on about, you motherfucking moron? I'm sorry. Let's just go on before I fucking start being toxic.
extremely practical clothes as a tinkerer and adventurer. Harding is also the same as a scout. Nev is a detective who has to walk the streets of Minrathous, so while she has more style than Balara and Harding, she's still dressed in a fairly practical manner other than the exposed flat chest situation. It felt like the writers wanted to force Tosh to speak this way to a woman just so they could imply that Tosh doesn't feel comfortable with femininity. But unfortunately, no female character in this game is even feminine enough for that to be possible. Hell, Tosh's own mother wears clothes that look more.
Yo, look, the fact that, like, I'm sorry, but you know what? This mage, okay, this mage has strong mommy vibes. Okay, of course, an immature fuck up like the Kunari would look up to her because he's, you know, immature and childish, and in her she sees a strong, confident character. And so she goes to her because he's like, she has this air, the mage has this air of exactly what Mutineer said. She's been out there, she's been on the streets, and she does it with class. She has like this like bossy dress code. I don't like it, but I can see what it's trying to convey. What it's trying to convey is this bossy demeanor, this confidence. She has like this smirk on her face and that look that says, you know, I got street smarts and I know a thing or two. Of course she would. Where would she go? Would she go talk to like this person? I don't think so. Would she go talk to this person? I don't fucking think so. The only other candidate would have been Harding, the scout, but Harding is literally fucking a literal fucking Disney character. I wouldn't go to talk to her. I'm sorry. She is just like immature as fuck. Rook is yeah. I guess she could go talk to Rook. That would have been actually a better option because it would have made you engage. And with good writing, that would have been interesting to see. But yeah, I don't know. If it was going to be somebody else from the cast and not Rook, which was intentional, so we have to exclude Rook because somebody said it can't be Rook. Who knows for what reason? They just didn't want to, I guess. So the only option there at that point in time, depending, like, you know, because you can't have some of the other later party members at that point. So at that point, the only person that is most suitable is indeed this person, the mage, for better or worse. I don't see any problem. Anyway, let's go on.
Or like the robes of a mage or a priest, not a feminine dress whatsoever, since it makes the woman look basically like a potato sack. No feminine curves allowed, lest God forbid anyone get horny over some pixels. I don't want to get too far into the weeds here, but Tosh's way of speaking is extremely infantile and honestly quite offensive towards everyone they speak to. But for some reason, everyone else just accepts the way Tosh insults them or yells at them because, just because, I really don't understand.
The reason why, I'll tell you why. And if you noticed, Mutineer also says Tash, which I assume is the Kunari, is infantile. That's why people accept it. Because it is very clearly visually communicated to them, just like to the player, that she is literally a fucking immature, cringy, edgy teenager warrior. A barbarian. Okay, a fucking Zerker. You know. So the reason they put up with her is because they want to give her a chance. That is my take on it. Why is that my take? Well, because that's my own reaction. Like, whenever someone goes like, oh, you know, you look like a girl. I'm like, yeah, well, what if I want to look like a girl? What if I like the style? What then? Why are you looking at me? Like, I want to give the other person the chance to bite, to take that bait and be like, oh, yeah, well, because of that and that. And through that, like, because if you don't give people the chance, how are they going to have the appropriate environment and interactions to grow out of their immaturity and bad attitude? What do you want them to do? Scold her? What do you want them? Maybe it would have been realistic, maybe, if one or two of the party would react angrily towards her. Yeah, okay. And then maybe you can insert there some good dialogue with Rook saying, hey, keep your calm, give them a chance. For example. Like, you know, and create some nice drama for the player to resolve or to aggravate if they want to. But that is because VeilGuard has horrible writing and very railroaded dialogues. But that has nothing to do with anything that has to do with, like, trans issues. Because so far, if we go by what Mutineer is criticizing at least, there is no issue there. Unironically. Like, me personally, the issue I have with it is that it is very exactly on rails. So, and that happens also with the trans issues. You can't really discuss things. You aren't really allowed. It's like behind a glass, a wall glass. You're not ever going in depth. You're not ever discussing anything meaningful. Like, you can't engage the Kunari and have a discussion that sounds mature about it, you know? And also, there is no other character to balance out the Kunari that would have been also trans, for example. So I get why they can I get why it can be seen as negative representation, because the only thing representing you is an immature idiot. However, it's not something unrealistic. You can have such people even if they're not trans, obviously. This person happens to be non-binary. I wouldn't say trans, but non-binary, to use the proper word. Well, that's why VeilGuard sucks. It's shallow writing, and you know, it could have been solved so easily by Rook interacting with the Kunari more when it comes to like identity, and having like deeper choices, and then through that, this character, even though they start unlikable, maybe they become super likable because you have these conversations. That's my issue with it. That like they don't go deep with it. You know, they don't go really deep with it. They're like, oh yeah, whatever. You know, it's in that sense I agree that the representation is bad, but the basis is there. It's just that like because of the generally bad writing, it appears like representation is bad. The issue isn't representation itself, but rather generally bad writing. But yeah, it's such a small, it's such a, like the difference between the two is like such a small one that you can argue for both. You can say it represents trans people horribly because of, you know, the Kunari, but you can also just argue that maybe there was miscommunication between the departments and they just, you know, it fucked up completely, but it was intended as, you know, it was going to be something good. Of course, that's no measurement. You can't say maybe this was going to be good and then say for that reason it is good, obviously, but at the same time, so far into the game, you wouldn't say that there is bad representation. You would have to have finished it. So that's why I want to see through the whole video, because I want to see how far we're gonna go with it. Because again, like so far, I don't have a problem with it. They just chose a cliche way, by which I mean they present, you know, the Kunari as not exactly, you know, mature or anything. So, but maybe she matures. But let's find out.
Don't understand why you aren't given options to disagree with your companions, even if they are necessary to the main plot for their special skills. I don't know whether someone on the team at BioWare thought that it would send the wrong message to let the player disapprove of various things the companions say, but this decision to not let the player have a different opinion has greatly backfired. Now people are describing VeilGuard as propaganda, because you aren't allowed any option but to agree with what the writers want you to agree with, and honestly, I can't disagree with people calling this propaganda, because that's exactly what propaganda does. It presents itself as the only correct option, convincing you to agree and believe the things it presents to you as the right way to think.
Yeah, there we go. So that's the problem, because then even though like you can represent trans people by having them be problematic in an environment, just like the Kunari, or non-binary people, whatever, you get it. I'm just gonna say trans, okay? It can be problematic, but then flourish into something awesome. That is good representation. That is good representation. Realistic. It's not every case, but there are cases. It's realistic, it exists, it's there, it happens, it's common. It would have been nice. But because they railroad you, it feels like, what the fuck is going on? It feels like you can't scold her gently for being an ass. You can't engage meaningfully. And because there is no such engagement, she remains, the Kunari, she remains a horrible character. And because of that, you can say it's bad representation. That's my issue, personally. If you can understand the very thin line between the two, you know, perspectives here, mutineers and mine. And why I say that, yeah, it's not that bad, but like it becomes bad because you don't get to have meaningful choices that would make this person, for example, bloom, you know, to flower. And if you do, it's in a way that is very, very shallow and surface level. And you will see what I mean.
Look, as a trans and queer guy, I absolutely want people like me to be more accepted. I want us to be considered a regular part of society and be allowed to live our lives in peace. But this is not the way to get there. This has the opposite effect. This makes people hate us more. Anyway, back to Tosh. For some reason, we're talking about feminine clothing and how Tosh has trauma of their mother telling them to wear dresses. And that equates not only to them being trans, but also attacking other people's fashion choices, such as Nev's. I'm sorry that I even have to make this statement at all, but being trans or queer or any other minority does not give you the right to be an asshole. Tosh implying that Nev's way of dressing.
Exactly, so why are you acting like an asshole mutineer? The flat-chested other woman? Like, what the fuck? Fuck you. What do you care about her size of boobs, dude? Are you the one that wants to be horny at pixels then? Not that it's wrong, by the way, but like, you know, let's call it as it is here. Like, I don't get it. It's again like pivoting from one end to another and just cancelling the previous thing. Like, I can't. I fucking can't. But okay, let's see.
Dressing is wrong or unnatural is simply an asshole thing to say, invalidating Nev's own identity as a woman and the way she chooses to express herself as such.
But you motherfucking moron just said you're doing that. You're doing that. You did that. You just did that earlier in the segment where you said that her clothes are not feminine. You're the one judging her. You're the one fucking judging her for not wearing a miniskirt. Which you're also the one who said that it shouldn't matter if she's wearing. Like, are you seeing it's, man, this is taking water from everywhere. Like, this don't hold water. Like, his arguments are just like fucking Swiss cheese at this point. Like, water from everywhere, leaking out hard. Anyway,
let us continue through this disaster of a scene.
Tosh, what's going on? Something is clearly bothering you.
My bet's on mothers and dresses.
It's just something my mother said the other day. That I act more like a man than a woman.
And you feel like you should wear dresses to make her happy.
There we go. So she is angry. She is angry about it, which then excuses the previous behavior. Well, not excuses, but explains it, you know? But anyway, let's go on.
No. Can you imagine me in a dress? I'd look stupider than I'd look stupid.
This isn't about the dress, is it?
No, it's... I don't know. She always says stuff like that. About how I dress, how I act.
And?
It feels... right. When she says I act more like a man. It feels... right. Why does it feel right?
I have no idea why Tosh feels the need to say that they would look stupider than they are, than they already look like. I don't know.
Because that's what she expects everyone else to say, so she's trying to prematurely overcorrect in a way of like, I know it's stupid because she thinks, okay, that other people will react that way. So she's trying to gain favor because to appeal to them, because she feels, you know, completely lost in the argument. So of course she's gonna open with, oh, yeah, I would look stupider than, you know, than you can imagine. But then she corrects and says, I'd look stupid. She's clearly lost for words, which is usual for someone who who begins with anger, but then the anger is diffused and the person is just lost, because without that anger and that like feeling, they're just like you know, they don't expect that you're going to be calm about it. They don't expect that you are actually interested in discussing it, and they go like you know, they fucking lose their they lose their fucking mind about it, you know, as in not going mad or anything, but in the sense of like literally losing their words. They go like if somebody comes at me, and this has happened, and they go like, oh, you fucking F word, why are you dressing like that? You look like a fucking girl, you know that, you fucking F. And I go like, yeah, I know, that's like my purpose. It's intentional, actually. Like, well, what's up? You know, you okay? There are people who get disarmed by that, and you will see them stutter or lose their words. You know, I don't see it as completely impossible if someone came to me and said that, and then I told them that, and then they would go like, yeah, well, you know, I would probably look stupid in that. And my natural reaction to that would be, well, you know, you don't know until you try. I think maybe you could make it work if you wanted, you know, which again can make them angry again, because, you know, in their eyes they might get defensive and be like, what are you talking about? I'm not like, you know, an F word. But again, you can re-diffuse it by going like, yeah, that's what I said, you know. But like, have you thought about it? You know, it's a very, like, depending on the person that you have in front of you, this dialogue can be very realistic. So yeah, again, I've had, if not the same, very, very close to the same in real life. Are you telling me real life is a badly written Dragon Age game? I don't think so. I think Dragon Age is hot take. Dragon Age is that particular segment of Dragon Age is a well-written scene. Oof, that hurt to say, because I've seen the writing on other segments of the game and it's horrible. This, however, real life is indeed badly written. Yes, that's true, because you're in it. Who would include a character like you who does not inform me that I can save my clothes? That's terrible writing. The script is all over the place. And you're living proof of that. How do you like that, huh? You try to be smart with your yellow name today. You're wearing yellow today. You're the Yellow King. You think I wasn't ready for your reaction or you popping in? You see green? Yeah, but like, what matters? What? Really? So for everyone it's different? For me it's pink? Oh my god. Unbelievable. My mind is blown. You're consistently red for some reason. Yeah, what the fuck? The multiverse is real? I don't know about that. You came late, you know that? That's what she said, by the way. But you came late because we've been having like I have been having an amazing time ripping apart this take, which I can't believe I'm saying that, because I do agree that yes, trans representation is shaky in VeilGuard, and VeilGuard is badly written. I do agree with these sentiments, but this particular guy, this mutineer guy, and the things that he's saying are horribly, horribly, horribly wrong, in my humble opinion. And it spurred the whole discussion about gender and all that shit. So you're late. Where have you been? Holy shit. Again, you're unreliable. And yeah, you also missed the generic catgirl porn drama. Oh my god. And some killing antidote. And some halls of torment. And my stream crashing. I honestly can't believe that you have other important real life matters to do. In general, matters more important than like watching my stream. That is like unthinkable to me. I don't know. I don't know how you can do that. Anyway, I'm gonna go on with the video because I'm curious.
Know what they were implying there, then they just settle on stating that they would look stupid in a dress. Thinking that you look bad in a certain article of clothing has nothing to do with being trans, by the way. You can absolutely have preferences about how your body looks like in various types of clothes, and that's just
Anyway, it seems to me like you were talking about dealing with insecurities, and even if people deal with their own insecurities, they often still can empathize with other people's insecurities. They don't seem to recognize the parallels. Not exactly. I was talking about a certain character very specifically in Dragon Age, and giving some examples of why I was thinking, and still am thinking, that that dialogue was in particular actually very realistic, and disagreeing with Mutineer here. But it's true that, yeah, it's true what you're saying about insecurities. That's very true. I mean, come on, in every relationship that you might have, at one point or other, not in every, but like in any relationship that you can imagine, somebody can just, you know, finger point you as like, oh, you're insecure. Which all that does is basically show you that like they are not sensitive to your insecurities. Damn humanites, yeah, fuck humanites. Let's go on.
just part of your fashion style. As a trans man, I never thought I looked stupid in a dress. I simply felt extremely uncomfortable in one because people saw me as a girl or woman, which I did not feel like. And additionally, I also found dresses uncomfortable due to my legs rubbing against each other. Even if I wasn't a trans guy, I would have likely simply never enjoyed.
No one cares why you would enjoy a dress or not. I'll address the real point. The Kunari acts this way because she's in character. That is her character. That is, she's an immature, cringy, edgy, angsty, alright, Kunari berserker with gender identity issues. How do you want them to behave? Like a fucking librarian? Again, this is just Mutineer going like, I wouldn't do that. Oh my gosh, I can't believe that the other person is gonna do that. Like, I can't take much more. I'm feeling the overload. Let's go on while I still can.
Wearing skirts or dresses due to that uncomfortable feeling of bare legs or too thin tights. And then we get to the point at which I become even more confused about Tosh's entire thing with being non-binary. Tosh says that when their mother says Tosh acts more like a man, it feels right. So then, pray tell, why isn't Tosh a trans man if they feel like acting like a man is something that feels right? Oh right, other than Rook, who gets a few cringy lines, and Tarquin, who just appears a little bit, though I do.
She doesn't, because she doesn't understand what's going on with her. She says so. Very clearly states it. It's why she approaches the mage. And why she approaches the mage in such a rough manner. Because to begin with, she feels at a disadvantage. And an insecure person, when at a disadvantage, will try to, will overreact usually and try to cement what they feel, especially if we're talking gender and all that, what they feel is appropriate or what they feel others expect them to say. Otherwise, they will look weak or confused, which again equals weak, or undecided, which again equals weak to their mind. So, what's the problem? Okay.
Do appreciate the character being voiced by a trans man. We can't really discuss trans masculine identities much, and if someone even thinks to say to me, well, you already had Krem in Inquisition, why did you want a transgender male character to be more important in the story? Are you hearing yourself? Krem had such a small role and could essentially be ignored. In contrast, Tosh is non-binary, and if you want to get the good ending of the game, you are forced to be part of this entire journey of them discovering their non-binary, and not only that, but you're also forced to agree with them and be extremely supportive. Compared to this, you could completely ignore Krem, and when you spoke to him about being trans, your Inquisitor didn't even have the option to be supportive.
And that right there is the issue I have, which in my eyes is the real issue. The fact that you can't dispute the Kunari, you can't help them through adversity if you wish, or you can't attack them for it if you wish, which you shouldn't wish. But maybe a clever writer actually would bait you into attacking them and then spin it around on you and make you reconsider some things through good writing. Instead, we get this dumbed down version where you become basically a yes person and you go like, treating the Kunari as some kind of pampered person. Like basically you just pamper them. That should also be a choice, by the way, but it shouldn't be the only choice. And this is where Mutineer and I agree, and that's why I believe that representation is bad. But I don't believe for a second that the character is bad, or that the character is redeemable if the writing was good, or that the representation is bad if the writing was good. Again, it is such a tiny difference between what I'm saying and what Mutineer is saying that you could even argue that we're saying the same thing. Yes and no. It's not that simple. It's a very tiny difference which makes a whole fucking world of difference though. Like for real, the character is not bad. The writing in regards to representing is not bad per se. It's the fact that they've railroaded your answers to a degree where they are pedantic, like, that they are inane. And so when that collides with representation, you can argue easily, which is what is being argued, that representation is bad. Because if you take it at surface level, and you yourself, as Mutineer said, I will flip it around on him and say that, like, if you haven't met a lot of people, okay, and haven't been in many social situations and adversity, you don't know that people like that exist, and you think it's bad writing. It's not. It is the dialogue system and its depth that are bad, which then smear this chance at representation. But the character itself is not bad. And the fact that they begin as this immature, cringy, edgy, whatever else I said, insecure asshole, doesn't mean it's bad representation, because there are, okay, not a lot, but there are enough trans individuals who don't even know they're trans, which is the case with, the Kunari, who begin like that, who start like that, and whose social skills are so low that they will react like that. And this is exactly when you have to give them a chance. If you want. But this "if you want" is lost due to bad writing here. And even if you do, again, it's lost to bad writing, because it's very shallow, Rook's responses are shallow. But the representation, like, just because this trans character begins as an unlikable person, that's not necessarily, you know, sorry, hiccup, bad representation. Because there are trans people who, there are people who realize they're trans through adversity like that. That's not unrealistic, and it's not uncommon either. Exactly because society will make them react like that. Especially if they're isolated because of their behavior to begin with. With said behavior, people like Mutineer, for example, wouldn't give a chance to change. Welcome to my TED Talk. But yeah. Of course, under the context of VeilGuard, you can't do any of that. Therefore, yeah, again, you can cynically just say, oh, they included a trans person. The trans person is horrible to anyone, and you can't fucking fix them. Bad representation. Yeah, you can say that. Okay, I guess you can. But I am going to debate it. I am going to debate it because if you take the character, that segment, again, I'm not talking about later, but that segment, if you take that segment and the character archetype like that and shove it in a well-written game with expansive dialogues properly written by human beings who have experienced shit, then it would work. And that would be good representation. Therefore, what is the problem? The game, not the character or the representation. For me, as someone looking in from the outside, I have the question, is it at all appealing for a trans person to play a trans character? As in, is it desirable for anyone to be trans, or is it rather a circumstantial necessity because it's the only way to reach the goal, to transition to the opposite gender? I will answer in reverse. The goal is not necessarily to transition to the opposite gender. For example, my goal, let me show you something. Where is, fuck's sake, I'm sorry for what I'm about to do to you. I'm going to turn on my camera. I hope that you are ready for that shit. Where is my mouse? Okay. Let me make sure that I'm at least half presentable, I guess. Because I usually am not presentable at all, but like right now I have to be. So where the fuck is like can you even see anything? Did you even see anything? Where the fuck is my camera? That's curious, because it is right in front of me, it is on, but there is no window. That is crazy. Let me try to re-add it. I'm gonna delete it, or rather, wait, I have a better idea. Video capture device. Alright. Come. Make source visible? I mean, yes. Oh wow, look at this shit. What? Did you see that? What? Are you for real? It says the device doesn't exist. It's in red, and it's like it doesn't exist. What? Stream, are you fucking okay, dude? Oh, shut up with that. I will kill you in the end. You're not gonna escape me for long. Let me try to fucking do something about this shit. So if I go to properties, are you seriously telling me, okay, what will this do? Nothing, right? So now you see nothing there. Amazing. Very good. And what happens if I do this? Nothing again. Amazing. And those are my choices. Delicious. So I can't have a camera now? What? Like where is that source? For real? Elgato game capture? What the fuck? Bro. Alright, well, let me try again. So now you see this, right? Jesus Christ. Ever since my stream crashed, for some stupid reason, now the camera doesn't work. It's like, it's a good day, let me just not work. Why not? Let me just not work. For what reason? There is no fucking reason. You know what? Let me just... I'm gonna fix it, no matter what. Because I'm going to fix it for sure. So, this is the stream now. Can you fucking turn on, please? No? Oh, so now it completely just doesn't... You know what? I will be right back. I'm going to stop the stream. Yeah, I'm gonna stop the stream, fix it, and then I'll be back. And I don't care. I'll be right back. The stream will end. Don't get scared by that, okay? I will be right back.